InsureOnTheSpot.com.
Live from Chicago, this is Fox 32 News at Noon.
Next at noon, new developments in the search for Nancy Guthrie, what we are now learning from the FBI.
Grange residents fed up with squatters who moved into their neighborhood and will not move out. What a judge just ruled within the last hour.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Sylvia Perez.
And I'm Natalie Bumke. We want to get straight to some breaking news. New images from the FBI on a potential subject involved in the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. These are surveillance images is what they are referring to them as, and they're not calling this a person of interest, just a potential subject is how they're labeling it. It looks like on the left, we're seeing an image that appears to be outside on her patio, maybe outside of her front door or another door of her home. Looks like an individual wearing a backpack and maybe a hoodie or a mask. And then on the right, there's a closer look at that individual and maybe a gloved hand as well. So this, again, just released by the FBI. We don't have a whole lot of details at this point in time, but as soon as we get them, Sylvia, of course, we'll bring that to the viewers.
And they're also saying that if you look closely, it's hard to tell from the angles we have, but they show an armed individual appearing to have tampered with the camera at the front door. They've released 4 photos. We're showing you 2 of them right here. Obviously, this is a developing story, ongoing investigation, but these photos just released, and we're going to have more on this later in the show, but we wanted to get this to you right away, and we're going to be talking to somebody in the next hour about this as well. Right now, let's head outside, though, as we look to see what our weather is going to bring for us on this Tuesday. And when you step outside, what do you experience? Milder temperatures, right? I definitely felt it this morning, Caitlin.
We are already surpassing what we expected to be our high for the day. So we are fantastic outside in Chicago. That live look showed you how bright and beautiful the sky is. Regional view shows satellite radar, hardly any cloud cover out there in Chicagoland. Northwest Indiana, you have a few clouds, but overall it really is a very pleasant early afternoon. Some of us are at 50 degrees right now. Currently, we're at 46 at the lakefront as well as O'Hare, but Joliet, you're at 50. Same thing in Kankakee, 50 degrees, 46 in Gary, but a little bit cooler there in Waukegan and Woodstock. No complaints, though, 42 degrees for you when you step out the door currently. Our day planner has those temperatures staying in the 40s until this evening when cooler air is going to be pushing in. It could be a little bit gusty. We expect winds to be approaching 25 to 30 miles per hour, but outside of that, it's a quiet forecast with those mild temperatures. 3-day forecast. Temperatures are not staying this warm. Tomorrow we take a little bit of a hit down to 38, but still going to be nice. Thursday, that's when we have the chance for some wet weather in the form of a wintry mix, especially west of Chicago, but highs are going to be around 40. And if you like the mild stuff, which I have heard nothing but people being excited that we're going to be in the 40s, perhaps the 50s, this is going to continue into next week. Above normal temperatures expected through most of the month, actually. I'll show you that on your extended forecast ahead.
It's good news. Thanks, Caitlin. Some new developments to tell you about in a case involving squatters in Grange.
Officials say several squatters have been living inside a foreclosed home in a residential neighborhood, sparking multiple complaints from neighbors. Well, today, a Cook County judge ruled on whether those squatters must leave the property. Saquon joins us now and spill the beans. What did the judge decide here in this case?
Yeah, well, I'll make it pretty easy for you guys because the attorney representing the people, the squatters, in this house here behind me in LaGrange, basically said, we'll surrender the house, we'll hand over the keys by 5 p.m. today. Now, that is not something that I personally was expecting, nor were these neighbors, because this has been a long battle for them. They've been fighting to try to get these squatters out for years at this point, and really, they talked to me about the fact that this has really only been a big conversation in the last 6 months or so because of the media attention that it's been getting. For them, they were telling me there's families here, there's kids here. And, obviously that big raid that happened with LaGrange police and the SWAT team, discovered a lot of things that these neighbors already had an idea of, right? They found drugs inside, including fentanyl. We also got to see these court documents that show allegations of prostitution with reports of random women being dropped off with luggage, claims of people screaming and running out of the home in the middle of the night. So for these neighbors here, this was a big win for them, but also it's been a really long battle. They spoke with me after that court hearing today. Here's what they had to say.
We're happy as can be. I mean, it has just been a nightmare for everybody in the community. I think everybody behind me, everybody that's been in all the court appearances so far, have all suffered in some way from this, and we just want it behind us.
Yeah, so, I mean, once again, these neighbors have told me they've learned also a lot about the court proceedings as well as foreclosures and evictions, and I think they would all tell you the same thing. They don't want to have to go through it again. Guys?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because the Senate just passed a bill, and this is new for this year, that allows police to remove squatters as trespassers without a court-ordered eviction. So this is new, trying to get squatters out of homes over the last, well, you just heard their story. It can take forever. So with that in mind, do police or the village plan to take action if this order isn't followed?
Yes, and basically what I got from that hearing was from the judge. She says if that key isn't handed over to the new homeowner by 5 p.m. today, LaGrange police then have the right to evict everyone inside this home. Now, I'm glad you brought that up, though, about the new rules, because that is something that the judge brought up. She seemed a little bit frustrated with why LaGrange police haven't handled this themselves. And when I asked the police chief about it today, he was saying, you know, it gets really complicated with these new laws and them having now worked with the state's attorney's office. So, you know, from the police chief, what it sounds like is that they're going to focus as a department to make sure that, first of all, they're escorting that new homeowner for that key transfer that's supposed to happen today. And hopefully everything is solved and taken care of by 5 p.m. so that it doesn't have to, you know, get to that point where LaGrange police really do have to be involved.
Okay, thanks for that, Zay. Appreciate it. Charges have now been dropped against a group of people arrested during a protest outside of the Broadview ICE facility last fall. The sheriff's office says the November demonstration started peacefully, but tensions eventually escalated. Multiple people were injured, including 4 police officers. Prosecutors initially charged 21 people with obstruction, disorderly conduct, and walking on a highway. The Chicago Tribune reports all but 2 of those cases have now been dropped.
A $10,000 reward being offered for information leading to an arrest in the murder of a Chicago City employee. 36-year-old Dajae Flowers worked for the Office of Emergency Management and Communications. She was found shot to death last Friday morning inside of her Westridge apartment. Police say she had been shot multiple times. Anyone with information is urged to call Crime Stoppers, and the number's right there on your screen, 1-800-535-7867. Or you could submit a tip at cpdtips.com. A rideshare driver gets sick after picking up a package in Logan Square.
The driver and a passenger both became sick after stopping to grab the package from Palmer and Central Park. They called 911 and then were taken to the hospital in fair condition. A hazmat crew responded and officers were able to recover the package. This incident is still under investigation.
We're just a couple of days away from the start of early voting in Chicago for the March 17th primary. And today we got a look at the new voting super site on State Street. The Chicago Board of Elections talked about what to expect at this new site.
There's more space than our old site. We have 80 voting machines and we have more prepared. Primary elections, while we see a little bit of lower turnout, we're ready for as many voters as we can have. When it comes to our voting machines, though, there is not any major changes. We are really business as normal.
He also says, that's Max Bever, by the way, he's in charge there. He says they were testing the touch screens and that they will have ballots in 12 different languages for voters.
In DuPage County, early voting for the Illinois primary is now underway, and the polls are open for 6 days a week from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and then 9 a.m. to noon on Saturdays. The primary election is March 17th, and coming up, Paris will be joining us to break down the key races that we are watching for you. Mayor Johnson and Governor Pritzker joined the city's tourism bureau, Choose Chicago, for their annual meeting this morning.
The governor says the city continues to set tourism records, despite, he says, an unflattering narrative from the White House.
You hear a lot of talk from the White House about Chicago that gets amplified by national media. A lot of doom grifting and spelunking for misery by people who don't live here and really don't know much about Chicago. And when people come here, they instantly see through the fog of that false narrative.
Choose Chicago, that is the tourism arm of the city, says last summer tourism generated nearly $1 billion of revenue for the city. The organization says it was driven by conventions, sporting events, concerts, I should say, and the world-renowned restaurant scene, which Sylvia knows a whole lot about.
I love to eat all the time. Much more to come on Fox 32 News at noon.
The search area is broadened for the mother of Savannah Guthrie. We've got a live update on the case.
Since 1936.
New images just released from the FBI on a potential subject, that's what they're calling this individual, involved in the disappearance of Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy Guthrie.
Let's get the latest. Amalia Roy joining us live from Tucson. Amalia, what can you tell us?
Yes, good afternoon. We can see from these photos just released minutes ago by the FBI that you see someone walking up to the door of Nancy Guthrie's house wearing a mask, wearing gloves, looks to be possibly trying to cover the security camera. FBI Director Kash Patel confirmed in his post on X when releasing this that this person was armed and that was trying to tamper with the camera. This is the first that we are seeing of any potential suspect since Nancy Guthrie's disappearance on Sunday. This has been day after day that the FBI and the Pima County Sheriff's Department asking the public for any leads because they still have not identified a suspect or person of interest. The Pima County Sheriff's Department saying they have not confirmed a possible huge breakthrough to have any insight into what happened the night that Nancy Guthrie went missing. This is at the same time that a deadline has come and gone for a ransom to be paid, for a deadline of Monday yesterday at 5 p.m. Mountain Time. The FBI has not given any credibility to this ransom note, but shortly after that deadline passed, released a statement saying, in part, more than a week, FBI agents, analysts, and professional staff have worked around the clock to reunite Nancy Guthrie with her family. The FBI is not aware of any continued communication between the Guthrie family and suspected kidnappers, nor have we identified a suspect or person of interest at this time. Since
where you are, even if you're far from Tucson, if you see anything, you hear anything, if there's anything at all that seems strange to you, that you report to law enforcement. We are at an hour of desperation.
the FBI is taking a more visible role now in the search for Nancy Guthrie. The agency now has billboards along roads in states surrounding Arizona with Nancy's picture, description, and tip line. 1-800-CALL-FBI. Again, this is a major break here with photos of a possible suspect, but both the FBI and Pima County have not said they have identified a suspect or person of interest. I asked the Pima County Sheriff's Department about any news briefings for updates in this, and they said there are none scheduled for right now. In Tucson, Arizona, Amalia Roy, Fox Chicago.
Molly, if I can ask you, has there been any money exchanged at all that we know of in that ransom?
The FBI says as of right now, they are not aware of any communications between the Guthrie family and any possible ransom note. Additionally, again, they have said that they have not yet publicly said if this was a credible note.
Thanks for that report, Amalia. The Trump administration is cutting critical funding for public health funding in several states, including here in Illinois. The New York Times reports that the White House plans to slash $600 million in public health funds from California, Colorado, Minnesota. The cuts could impact a program involving HIV prevention for black women at Lurie Children's Hospital. The former CDC chief medical officer resigned last year, saying the money had already been approved by Congress.
And striking nurses in New York City reached tentative agreements with two hospital systems. The agreement, which involves Montefiore and Mount Sinai hospitals, includes pay raises and maintain nurses' health benefits with no out-of-pocket costs.
What we want people to take away is that this is more than about money. I know that message has been portrayed out there a lot, but this is not about money. This is about our ability to care safely for our patients.
The nurses have been on strike now for more than 25 days. If they ratify the contracts, they'll return to work this Saturday. Nurses at New York Presbyterian, though, still remain on strike. And San Francisco schools will be closed again tomorrow after thousands of teachers walked off the job this morning. Look at that. The strike comes after teachers and the district failed to reach an agreement over higher wages, health benefits, and more resources for students with special needs. It is the city's first such walkout in nearly 50 years. The district argues that with declining enrollment, less funding from the state, and a more than $100 million budget deficit, the money simply is not there for raises. Right now, the Walk for Peace enters its final stage. 19 Buddhist monks have been walking across the country for the past 15 weeks. The monks say the walk isn't a protest, but a way to awaken peace in all humans. Their next stop is the Lincoln Memorial, and then on Thursday, they head to Texas by bus. The final 6 miles of that journey will wrap up on Saturday when they walk back to the temple where that trip began. 12:18 now, and another live look outside. Sylvia, it's so beautiful, isn't it?
Look at that shot.
Boy, you hate to see that icy water go, don't you?
Yeah, it's melting. Does it make you sad, Natalie?
No, it doesn't.
Caitlin, let's find out how long. Let's see, how high is the temperature going to get today?
Ooh, we're already seeing the 50s out there. I'm looking at this camera shot. I didn't know we could zoom in that close on the ducks.
Yeah, that's cool, huh?
They are loving this. I'm not surprised. It is fantastic outside. It really feels good. Looking at the satellite and radar, it's beautiful. From other shots, you can kind of see how bright it is. We do have a few clouds and perhaps some gusty wind out there today, but all headlines about the weather, the temperature, because as I just teased, some of you are already in the 50s. Take a look behind me. These are the current temps. Right now, 47 degrees at the lakefront and Midway, 50 in Joliet and Kankakee, 49 in Morris, 42 at Woodstock and Waukegan. I see a 37 there in Michigan City. So just like those ducks, you got to get outside and enjoy the weather today. It's feeling really mild. Highs today are going to be hovering right around those upper 40s, low 50s. As mentioned, we are outpacing even our model data for highs today already. So it feels good. It looks good. Quiet weather expected tonight. Temperatures are going to be hovering in the mid to upper 20s. And tomorrow, unfortunately, not going to be quite as warm as today, but we're still going to be around 40 degrees. Some of us in the mid 40s. So another mild day. And we are staying above normal, not only today and tomorrow, but all the way through the weekend. Next week, we expect above normal temperatures yet again. Here's your 3-day forecast. So 38 degrees for Wednesday. Thursday, right around 40. We're going to have a few changes happening on Thursday. Clouds, they're going to be in place. We also have the chance for some wintry precipitation, especially west of the city. But then on Friday, we wrap up the week with sunshine. Temperatures again in the low 40s. This weekend, another round of rain is expected Saturday night and Sunday. But overall, I think you're going to be happy with our forecast. Coming up with our next check of the weather, I'll show you the extended outlook, how we expect temperatures to shape up for the rest of the month. Ahead, stay with us.
Best. Fox Local.
Football is over, which means baseball is just around the corner.
Today, the White Sox pitchers and catchers reported to spring training, and before all the action gets underway, Tina sits down with the hitting coach, Ryan Fuller.
Well, great now to be joined by White Sox Director of Hitting, Ryan Fuller, here hanging out with us. Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, but I read that you were once a financial advisor, a high school English teacher, high school hitting coach as well, and here you are, Director of Hitting for the White Sox. How did this unique journey shape you as a coach?
That's all correct. Yeah, really interesting journey, but really happy with where I am today, but all those jobs beforehand, especially teaching, being in front of a group of kids where they'd rather be anywhere else in the world. How do you make it engaging? How do you make the information pertainable to their lives? And that's what we're doing with the hitters here. Every hitter that comes to camp has a plan in place, and we tell them wherever they are why we think we can get them to another level. So all those experiences have kind of culminated into what it is today.
What do you love most about hitting, and more importantly, really teaching it too?
I love hitting because there's problems every single day. You're never going to figure it out. You may figure it out for that one game, but the next day there's another problem. The pitchers are so good, and then it's the mind of a hitter, the approach, the mechanics, the biomechanics that we're getting.
There is a familiar face on this roster for you, Austin Hayes. I know you guys overlapped there in Baltimore. What does adding a bat like that to this lineup do for this team?
Hazy's special. He's a winner. If you look at everywhere he goes, it's Hazy is going to be a great influence on our young players. He's a pro. He gets after it in the weight room. He gets after it in the cage, and these guys are going to see what it looks like to be a really consistent player once you get into your 30s as well.
Overall, year 2 with Will Venable, and you look at this team, good mix of young guys, some key veteran players as well. What excites you overall about this group?
Man, this group, you look at the front office, Chris, you look at Will, our manager, it's just a positive, supportive group, and that trickles down to the players, and you see them, the work they put in every day. They push each other. It's really positive, but they also talk a lot of crap to each other, which is a lot of fun. It's just a really fun environment to come to work every day, and that's really a credit to the leadership we have of setting the tone of how we want to be and how we want to act every day.
Awesome, Ryan. Thanks so much for the time. We're enjoying this Arizona sun, right?
Me too. Awesome.
Thanks, Tina. She'll be out there all week bringing us live reports. It should be fun. We'll be right back.
Content of this ad.
Welcome back. Here's a look at some of the stories we're following for you this afternoon.
The FBI has new video and images of a possible subject as the search for Nancy Guthrie enters day 10. Take a look at these videos. Agency says the video shows an armed person with a mask and gloves who appeared to tamper with the camera at Guthrie's front door the morning of her disappearance. The FBI says the images were previously inaccessible. This happening as another ransom deadline came and went Monday night without any sign of the 84-year-old.
An update on the squatting situation at a home in Grange. The attorney for the squatters is saying that they will hand over the keys to the new owner by 5 p.m. today. Now, if that doesn't happen, a judge says LaGrange police have the right to evict the squatters. The home is located on South Catherine and was foreclosed on last year. Since then, police have found drugs and there have been allegations of prostitution. Let's head back on over to Caitlin to find out what we can expect. I've been talking to people who've been out saying you need to get out today. It's actually so nice out there right now, Caitlin.
Gotta go for a walk.
Yeah.
Yes, temperatures are in the 40s. A few of us in the 50s today. It's wonderful. So, of course, weather headlines #1. Some of us are in the 50s. But we're going to have mild temperatures continue through the rest of the week, this weekend, next week. But we do have a few rounds of wet weather. Chance for some snow Thursday afternoon. This is going to be west of the city. And then rain chances are back Saturday night into Sunday, but trending warmer next week too, as mentioned. So I'm going to show you that extended forecast, the 10-day outlook at the end of this weather hit. So listen up. Right now, satellite and radar generally quiet. We do have a few thin clouds out there, as you can see, especially south of the city, Gary, Merrillville, Valpo, Chicago Heights. You have a little bit of clouds, but outside of that, it feels good. It looks good too. 46 degrees at the lakefront. 46 at O'Hare, 50 from Kankakee to Joliet to LaSalle, 44 in Merrillville and 40 in Valpo. Today's highs in the upper 40s to about 50 degrees. We have that wind coming in out of the northwest up to about 20 to 25 miles per hour at times. Tonight dropping down to 26. So it's not going to be too chilly tonight, but tomorrow we're not quite as warm as we are today. 38 expected to be our high for your Wednesday, but it will be a quiet day with sunshine. Let's take a look at this extended forecast. As promised, this is our outlook from the 16th through the 20th. And notice how dark red it is over Chicago. That means we expect warmer than normal temperatures. And as we extend this even further, this goes through the 18th to the 24th of February. So all the way through the 24th, we expect above normal conditions. So temperatures are expected to lean warmer. Now, it's not quite as dark red over Chicago, but still we'll take it. Temperatures should be in the low 30s. Instead, we're talking about the 40s and the 50s today. Now, if we look at that extended 10-day outlook, as mentioned, tomorrow we're going to be just a little bit cooler. Then we work our way back into the 40s. This weekend, mid to upper 40s expected. Chance for rain Saturday night and Sunday. Monday, 48. Now, I wouldn't marry yourself to these 60s, but I do want to just show you this because, again, next week, we're not going down. In fact, we could be going up with these temperatures. 7-day outlook, I just kind of showed you the temperatures, but keep in mind, again, Thursday, we have the chance for that wintry mix west of the city. Saturday night into Sunday, a little bit of wet weather. And then next week, we start off with quiet conditions and 48 degrees on Monday. Back to you.
Sorry, I can't help but be married to that 60. How about you, right? Oh, my gosh, that looks great. Okay, it's time. Early voting in Cook County begins this week.
And there are several races that we've been keeping a close eye on. And by we mean our political correspondent, Paris Schutz. Yeah. He has his finger on the pulse of everything political. Okay, so
there's so many races we need to keep an eye on it.
Totally, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's from assessor to the Senate. Let's start, though, with early voting. Tell people what they need to know to get out and vote.
Well, today, everybody in Chicago can go to the Loop Super site or go to 69 West Washington and cast their ballots really, really early if they'd like to do that, if they already know what their voting plan is. And then March 2nd, that expands to one site in each of the 50 wards. So usually there's a library or a school building in each of the 50 city wards that folks can go to, and that's going to go all the way up until the actual election day on March 17th. Yes, yeah. March 17th. Got to keep these dates straight. So that's what, there's usually no lines in these early voting, and that's why the city kind of stretches it out. Also Cook County, also DuPage County. You go there, you're just kind of in and out in these early voting scenarios.
You do have to pick a party, right? And you can do.
You do. You have to pull your ballot for each party for the primary. Yes.
You know, these early voting times. What do we expect the turnout for races like this to be? Because this, it's not a big year.
Turnout in midterms are always low. The off-year elections always low when there's no president on the ticket. So it's probably, if we're going to go by history, it tends to be in the 30s in terms of percentage in the city of Chicago. However, we have a lot of important races this year.
Tell everybody how important it is to get out and why we need to get out.
These are huge, and this is the primary right now we're talking about. In some of these races, because they're such Democratic strongholds, the primary will be the main contest here. If you talk about, let's say, the 9th Congressional District, you have a ton of candidates duking it out for Jan Schakowsky's old seat up on the north side. So you've got folks like Daniel Biss, the mayor of Evanston, Kat Agabazala, the blogger, and Laura Fine, a state senator, as well as Mike Simmons, another state legislator, and Phil Andrew, Huan Hyun.
Wow.
A lot of folks, there are too many to name. So, and then you've got the Senate race. You've got the Senate primary to replace Dick Durbin. So you've got the big contenders, Juliana Stratton, the lieutenant governor. You've got Raja Krishnamurthy, and you've got Robin Kelly. And then on the Republican side, you have Don Tracy running, and there's a couple others in his primary. So the primary might be the big contest here, you know, as this is likely to be a very strong Democratic seat in the general election. So that's why primaries are really low. The turnout is always low. And then, you know, fast forward, you've got a mayoral election in a year, so it might be voter fatigue. But this year, there's a lot at stake, and folks are activated because of what's happened with DHS and with deportations and immigration. There's a strong anti-Trump sentiment that will probably be an accelerator to turn out the vote. But I don't think it'll make up for the fact that midterms tend to be very low turnout. And that's why they've expanded early voting, mail-in voting. You know, the Chicago Board of Elections, Cook County, they have tried different ways to make it convenient so that there is higher turnout. Low turnout, you know, gets a lower quality of candidate, or it means that someone that has a machine behind them can dominate. You know, when the people aren't turning out in big numbers. So there's so many other races. There's the 7th
Well, you've
congressional.
got the governor race, and I mean, you
talked
say
about that. There's a GOP primary to take on. So that's another important one.
Because you say people are upset about some of the federal actions taking place in the state, but some people are upset about how the governor's running the state, the high taxes, and some of the other issues. And so you've got Republicans that are running for governor.
Yes, absolutely. And that'll be a motivator in the GOP primary. So there is a crowded primary for a governor. There's Darren Bailey, who we've seen. He ran before. James Mendrick, the sheriff in DuPage. And then Ted Dabrowski, who is a policy wonk, libertarian we've had on the show recently. And so, yes, I mean, in that race, for the folks that are motivated by an anti-Pritzker sentiment, this race is very important. They need to pick their horse in that race, because it's going to be a huge uphill battle to take on Pritzker and his money, especially in a year where Republicans are not they're not predicted to do very well in the midterms. So whoever the candidate is on the Republican side is going to have to contend with that if they're going to take on Pritzker, and they're going to have to really lean into the stuff specific to Illinois that voters are upset about: taxes, consumer issues.
The Bears,
the Bears, maybe.
I mean,
you know, if the state loses the Bears, so
which you said could find out in the next couple of weeks.
We could find out in the next 2 weeks, as Indiana has. They're really close to the finish line on their proposal, and then Illinois has gotten their act in gear a little bit. We're told there's negotiations are happening like nearly daily now between legislators, the governor's office, and the Bears. So yes, these are big issues coming to a head. But primary elections, like I said, there are big races, and in a lot of them, the primary is going to be kind of the big race, and then the general maybe not as much. So a lot for voters to keep track of, and then go out and vote early if you don't want lines.
All right. Thanks for wrapping that up for us, Bears. Putting a little bow on it. Exactly. We will be right back.
and fresh dog food.
Welcome back. The FBI has new video and images of a possible subject as the search for Nancy Guthrie enters day 10. Agency says the video shows an armed person with a mask and gloves who appeared to tamper with the camera at Guthrie's front door the morning of her disappearance. Remember, this was very early morning. The FBI says the images were previously inaccessible. Now they have them and they're showing them to the public.
Let's take a live look at the New York Stock Exchange right now. The Dow Jones is trading up 63 points.
And now it's time to look at your business headlines with CJ Papa.
Economists were expecting a modest increase in retail sales for December, but sales came in flat, no increase. Shoppers are spending more in the previous month. Black Friday deals apparently helped. November retail sales increased by 0.6%. Meanwhile, small biz confidence cooling last month. The National Federation of Independent Business says its optimism index slipped to 99.3 in January. Among issues cited by businesses, inflation, labor quality, and the cost or availability of insurance. Coca-Cola reported a mixed fourth quarter. Demand improved even though prices were high. Earnings were upbeat. Revenue was disappointing. Chairman and CEO James Quincy says he's encouraged by the company's resilience and momentum. Kering, parent company of Gucci, held up better than expected in the holiday quarter. Sales declined, but not as much as forecast. And Target's new CEO, Michael Fidelki, has revealed some upper management changes. Target also revealed plans to cut about 500 jobs in distribution centers and regional offices, but will add more frontline store employees. That's business. CJ Papa, Fox Chicago.
To Chicago.
Welcome back. It's time to look at today's entertainment headlines.
Jake joins us now. So let's start now with one of our favorite actresses, Catherine O'Hara.
Yeah, we miss her already, don't we? We were just watching some episodes of Schitt's Creek, and she's just
so funny.
Genius.
Yes.
She's genius. Yeah, so the LA County Medical Examiner's Office states that she died from a pulmonary embolism with rectal cancer listed as the underlying cause. Now, the oncologist who signed off on the death certificate indicated that he had been treating O'Hara since last March. The actress, of course, known for her decades-long career in film and television, earning several awards for her comedy work. She was 71 years old. Chapel Roan says that she has broken ties with her talent agency over ties between its chief and Jeffrey Epstein. She says that she refuses to stand passively by. Casey Wasserman is also the head of the Los Angeles 2028 Summer Olympic Games Committee. His name came up in the Epstein files last month with connections to Epstein's former girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell. Wasserman says he is sorry for his connection to Maxwell and never had contact with Epstein. Hollywood stars back at the bargaining table comes less than 3 years after the strike ended a dual shutdown production across the entertainment industry. Now, the union represents about 160,000 media professionals, including actors, announcers, broadcast journalists, and singers. Its contract expires June 30th. Numerous bargaining sessions are expected in the coming weeks. The use of artificial intelligence is expected to be a key issue, along with residual payments from streaming services. I think she got more yards than the Patriots right there. With Super Bowl 60 behind us, the ball has been passed down to Los Angeles. The City of Angels set to host Super Bowl 61 at SoFi Stadium. The president of the Los Angeles Sports and Entertainment Commission caught the football passed by San Francisco yesterday. The NFL also released its new logo. LA is promising a celebration that builds on the success of Super Bowl 56 back in 2022 when the Rams won at home at SoFi. Lance Armstrong's life story coming to the big screen. Elvis star Austin Butler will star as the former professional cyclist in the upcoming biopic. Armstrong won the Tour de France 7 times after surviving cancer, but he was stripped of those titles in 2012 after admitting to taking performance-enhancing drugs. He was also asked to return all of the prize money he earned between 1999 and 2005. No word yet on a release date. The Benito Bowl sets a new record. More than 135 million people tuned in to see Bad Bunny's halftime show. It is one of the most watched halftime shows ever compared to Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl halftime show, which pulled in still an impressive 133.5 million viewers. Bad Bunny did about 1.5 million more. It's not just the performance breaking records, those guys. Apple Music says that its press conference is the most watched in Super Bowl history with more than 63 million views, including its live stream and social clips.
Makes sense because he is global.
Exactly right. And, you know, and I really hope just the production value alone on that show. I know they do different, like, you know, they give out Emmys for different things. I mean, I really hope the people behind the scenes who directed that and called the shots. There was also a shot that I feel like isn't getting enough credit when Charlie Puth sang the national anthem and he hit the final note as the jets were flying by, and whoever was behind that camera took the jets and then brought it. It was just, I really hope the director behind the scenes was giving him some credit.
I agree with you. I mean, and watching him walk through those sugarcane fields and how the cameras were set up, really.
I mean, obviously, you know, Benito, give all the credit in the world, but got to give credit to the people that are behind the scenes moving those cameras, because a lot of things can go wrong.
They did a great job.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. We'll be right back.
Brightest Pain Relief.
A disturbing new report on anti-Semitism in America is just out today.
It shows more than half of Jewish people have changed their habits, including how they dress, out of fear. Casey is kicking off our Chicago Live interviews with the American Jewish Committee of Chicago. Casey?
Hi, Sylvia and Natalie. That's right. And that report also reveals that 1/3 of American Jews in the last year have either experienced anti-Semitism in person or online. To help break down that report is Sarah Van Loon of the American Jewish Committee of Chicago. Sarah, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So the AJC published this report. Sarah, what stood out to you most?
The biggest headline for me is that 9 in 10 American Jews feel unsafe in America out of fear of anti-Semitism, out of the 3 large attacks that happened against the Jewish community in 2025. So we're talking about the firebombing of the Pennsylvania governor's home, the murder of the 2 individuals outside of the Capitol Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C., which was at an AJC event, and of course the firebombing that we saw in Denver, Colorado at a protest for the lives of the hostages. So Americans across the country are feeling afraid, and as you've noted, are feeling afraid to show that they are Jewish in public. When we see this impacting Jewish Americans, this is a warning call for all of America, not just 2% of the population.
And, you know, it was mentioned that even it's changing what people are wearing, how they're dressing. What are some examples of that you can share?
So I've seen that some students, even some of my colleagues' children, they don't wear a Star of David necklace. They're going to tuck it under their shirt. They don't wear the religious head covering, the kippah or yarmulke, out of fear of what someone may do or say to them on the street. So they're hiding ways of their Jewish identity, of who they are, just out of fear that they may experience an attack. And unfortunately, in Chicago, there's reason to fear for that. The Chicago Commission on Human Relations' own report on hate crimes show that where the majority of the hate crimes have been reduced in 2024, it rose 58% against anti-Jewish bias. So that means out of every other group, hate crimes against those groups went down, but only one of 2 groups, the Jewish community being one of them, rose, and by such a considerable number. This is a very big concern for citizens of Chicago.
And Sarah, talk a little bit about the process of how you surveyed individuals. And this report, does this come out every year so you can track trends?
You're absolutely right. So AJC has been conducting this survey of both the U.S. general public and American Jews every year since 2019. That was the year after the deadliest massacre on U.S. soil of American Jews after the Tree of Life shooting in Pittsburgh. And so we contract with the SSRS survey firm to ensure that we are getting the broadest sample and we have less than a 4% margin of error. So that's insider talk to say this is a survey result that you can trust, and you know that this data really is representative of the Jewish experience writ large.
And what can people do to combat this? What are your suggestions for people watching at home if they want to help?
Thankfully, there's a really bright part of this survey too, and that shows that for the U.S. general public, if someone knows a Jewish person, they are more likely than someone who doesn't know a Jewish person to be able to recognize anti-Semitism and be able to understand what anti-Semitism is. So combating anti-Semitism doesn't have to be this big, difficult task. It can start with getting to know your neighbor, showing up for Jewish individuals, contacting a local synagogue and saying, can I join for a service so I can better get to know those in my community? There's so many ways that everyday Chicagoans can stand up and combat this hate, and it starts with getting to know your neighbor.
Sarah, thank you so much for being with us, and we'll have much more coming up on Chicago Live. You can stream us on our website, you can watch on YouTube or the Fox Local app. We'll hear from an FBI expert about the Nancy Guthrie case and much more. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Chicago.
Welcome back. We continue to follow this breaking news. We cannot get enough of watching this video. Within the last hour, just released by the FBI, new video and images of a possible subject. That is what they were considering this person, not a suspect, a possible subject, as the search for Nancy Guthrie enters day 10. The agency says the video shows an armed person with a mask and gloves who appeared to tamper with the camera at Guthrie's front door. This is the morning of her disappearance. Remember, it was very early. FBI says the images were previously inaccessible, so that's why they're just now releasing them to the public. There are, in addition to 2 videos, 4 still images taken from those videos that you can look at as well. This all just tweeted out by the FBI. And we'll continue to bring you the latest on air and online at fox32chicago.com.
Let's get one final check of your forecast. Caitlin.
It feels so good outside, and it looks good too. Look, live view of Chicago. You got to get outdoors and go for a walk today. Temperature